U.S. Imperialists, get out of South Vietnam. Our National Assembly is holding the present session in a very urgent situation but full of enthusiasm and confidence. The movement to oppose the United States and save the country is seething everywhere. Many great successes have been recorded in both North and South Vietnam. Over the past 10 years, the U.S. imperialists and their henchmen have carried out an extremely ruthless war and have caused much grief to our compatriots in South Vietnam. Over the past few months, they have frenziedly expanded the war to North Vietnam. In defiance of the 1954 Geneva Agreements and international law, they have sent hundreds of aircraft and dozens of warships to bomb and strafe North Vietnam repeatedly. Laying bare themselves their piratical face, the U.S. aggressors are blatantly encroaching upon our country. They hope that by resorting to the force of weapons they can compel our 30 million compatriots to become their slaves. But they are grossly mistaken. They will certainly meet with ignominious defeat. Our Vietnamese people are a heroic people. Over the past 10 years or more, our 14 million compatriots in the South have overcome all hardships, made every sacrifice and struggled very valiantly. Starting with their bare hands, they have seized guns from the enemy to fight against the enemy, have recorded victory after victory, and are launching a continual attack, inflicting upon the U.S. aggressors and the traitors ever greater defeats and causing them to be bogged down more and more deeply. The greater their defeats, the more frantically they resort to the most cruel means, such as using napalm bombs and toxic gas to massacre our compatriots in the South. It is because they are bogged down in South Vietnam that they have furiously attacked North Vietnam. As the thief crying, "Stop, thief," is a customary trick of theirs, the U.S. imperialists, who are the aggressors, have impudently slandered North Vietnam as committing aggression in South Vietnam. The U.S. imperialists are precisely the saboteurs of the Geneva Agreements, yet they have brazenly declared that because they wished to restore peace and defend the Geneva Agreements, they brought U.S. troops to our country to carry out massacres and destruction. The U.S. imperialists are precisely those who are devastating our country and killing our people, yet they hypocritically declared that they would give $1 billion to the people in Vietnam and the other Southeast Asian countries to develop their countries and improve their life. U.S. President Johnson has also loudly threatened to resort to violence to subdue our people. This is a mere foolish illusion. Our people will definitely never be subjugated. The Taylor Plan has been frustrated. The McNamara Plan has also gone bankrupt. The escalation plan which the U.S. imperialists are now endeavoring to carry out in North Vietnam will certainly fail, too. The U.S. imperialists may send in dozens of thousands more U.S. officers and men and make all-out efforts to drag more troops of their satellite countries into this criminal war, but our army and people are resolved to fight and defeat them. The statement of the South Vietnam National Front for Liberation has upheld that heroic will. The appeal of the Vietnam Fatherland Front has clearly underlined that iron-like determination. We love peace, but we are not afraid of war. We are resolved to drive away the U.S. aggressors and to defend the freedom, independence, and territorial integrity of our fatherland. The people throughout our country are firmly confident that with their militant solidarity, valiant spirit, and creative wisdom, and with the sympathy and support of the world's peoples, they will certainly lead this great resistance war to complete victory. Our people are very grateful to and highly value the fraternal solidarity and devoted assistance of the socialist countries, especially the Soviet Union and China, of the people in all continents who are actively supporting us in our struggle against the U.S. imperialist aggressors, the most cruel enemy of mankind. With regard to the Laotian and Cambodian peoples who are valiantly struggling against U.S. imperialism and its henchmen, our people constantly strengthen solidarity with them and unreservedly support them. We warmly welcome the youth of various countries who have expressed willingness to come to Vietnam and join us in fighting the U.S. aggressors. The American people have been duped by the propaganda of their government, which has extorted from them billions of dollars to throw into the crater of war. Thousands of American youths, their sons and brothers, have met a tragic death or have been pitifully wounded on the Vietnamese battlefields thousands of miles from the United States. At present, many mass organizations and individuals in the United States are demanding that their government at once stop this unjust war and withdraw U.S. troops from South Vietnam. Our people are resolved to drive away the U.S. imperialists, our sworn enemy. But we always express our friendship with the progressive American people. The government of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam once again solemnly declares its unswerving stand, to resolutely defend Vietnam's independence, sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity. Vietnam is one, the Vietnamese people are one, no one is allowed to infringe upon this sacred right of our people. The U.S. imperialists must respect the Geneva Agreements and withdraw from South Vietnam. That is the only way to solve the problem of war in Vietnam, to carry out the 1954 Geneva Agreements, to defend the peace in the Indochinese and Southeast Asian countries. There is no other solution. That is the answer of our people and government to the U.S. imperialists. Our people are living in an extremely glorious period of history. Our country has the great honor of being an outpost of the socialist camp and of the world's peoples who are struggling against imperialism, colonialism, and neocolonialism. Our people have fought and made sacrifices not only for the sake of their own freedom and independence, but also for the common freedom and independence of the other peoples and for peace in the world. On the battlefront against the U.S. aggressors, our people's task is very heavy but also very glorious. At present, to oppose the United States and save the country is the most sacred task of every Vietnamese patriot. Under the leadership of the South Vietnam National Front for Liberation, the genuine and only representative of the South Vietnamese people, the heroic people and fighters in South Viet Nam are marching forward to record ever greater successes so as to liberate the South and defend the North. The armed forces and people of the North are eagerly engaged in emulation to build socialism while valiantly struggling to defend the North and wholeheartedly support the South. I propose that the National Assembly warmly support the statement of the South Vietnam National Front for Liberation and the appeal of the Vietnam Fatherland Front. Warm welcome to our heroic compatriots and fighters in South Vietnam. Warm congratulations to our armed forces and people in North Vietnam, now enthusiastically emulating with one another in production and fighting against the enemy to record new exploits. I call on our compatriots and fighters to constantly heighten their revolutionary heroism, vigilance, and fighting spirit, to promote that everyone redoubles his efforts, emulation movement, resolutely overcome all difficulties, endeavor to build and defend socialist North Vietnam and wholeheartedly support the patriotic struggle of our compatriots in the South. Let all of us single-mindedly unite as one man and be determined to defeat the U.S. aggressors. For the future of our fatherland, for the happiness of our people, let all compatriots and fighters throughout the country valiantly march forward.